everyone. Welcome to Strictly Hockey. I am Jacob Brown, joined here with Steve Cashin and Adam Kupferman. This is our first podcast on YouTube. We're still going to be putting them on everything else, on iHeart, Apple, Spotify, all that. But we figured let's give you guys another viewing option. We do this anyway on Zoom. Why not put it on YouTube? So we get to see Adam's beautiful game winner goal scorer face from last night. So how did that go last night? We heard you scored that game winning goal.
Yeah, it was just coming down it was championship game for our beer league. So,
beer league champs.
Just overtime starts, killed off a penalty, got on the ice and just came down short wing side and ripped one in. Not a big deal. Humble brag.
Not a big deal. How are you?
Hi. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, well, hey, we haven't done a pod since before the season started, so we haven't even been able to brag about what we've been right about and complain about what we've been wrong about. So let's just start with that Canadian division. And I just got to start with this. I remember saying it on our Canadian division preview pod. I was like, I really want to put Montreal in, but I just couldn't because of what everyone else was saying. I should have went with my gut. This team, I think, in the Canadian division, they might not be the most talented, but they're the most complete to me. Up and down that lineup, you've got a guy on each line that can put the puck in the back of the net. They've got size. They've got grit. They've got a great defense. I mean, Shea Weber coming back, he's still Shea Weber. Jeff Petrie, great offensively. We didn't even really mention him on that pod. He's been fantastic over the last 3-4 years. This team is better than you think. And, they still have Carey Price. What have you guys thought of the Montreal Canadiens so far?
They're quick. That's the first thing that pops into my mind is they're fast. They can play good enough defense on any given night, but they still got a lot to work on, I think. But early on in the season, they haven't lost in regulation yet. They're dragging a point every night. But the Vancouver games, I don't know if you all caught any of those games. I was texting Jacob nonstop because I bet on Vancouver. That was the most exciting 3-game set I think I've seen in a long time. I mean, that first game went 6-5 overtime, 7-3, 5-2. I mean, high scoring, high octane games, but the front end for that Canadiens team is solid. Suzuki's playing out of his mind. Tyler Toffoli had 5 goals in 2 games in that set. Petrie's playing well, and when you have Carey Price between the pipes, I'm confident in that team on any given night because he's Carey Price. He can come out and shut you down any night. So good things for Montreal. It's a long season, long way to go, but they're trending in the right direction and playing good hockey right now.
I love Josh Anderson too, by the way.
Great addition. He's been a nice pickup for them. I mean, the thing you didn't see coming with Montreal is their young guns got playoff experience last year. I think that's the big key is they got to that extra step and now they know how to kind of play in the NHL a little bit more. You know what I mean? So they're taking that experience. Kotkaniemi, he got sent down to the minors last year. He's off to a good start. Toffoli eating up his former team who wouldn't re-sign him. Carey Price, no questions about him. He's, I think we all had him in our top 5, top 3 goaltenders.
Yep.
For that pod, I shouldn't be surprised, and yet I am. I mean, 4-2 to start a season. I mean, it's a small sample size. Don't get me wrong. You got to prove it for me over an entire season, but there's a lot to like about this team right now.
Yeah, no, I think, especially matched up against the other teams in this division, I think some of the problems we were going over with the Canadian division are kind of showing themselves, specifically with Edmonton. Defense and goaltending is a problem. They don't have it. You can have McDavid and Draisaitl all you want, but if you go into a team like Montreal, which physically they're going to overmatch them, defensively they're going to overmatch you, and goaltending-wise they're going to overmatch you. It's just if you look at all the categories, yes, Edmonton's probably better offensively. Everything else Montreal's got. Toronto, kind of the same thing. Although Toronto, they've been a little bit better than I think, but they've kind of had some close games where they've been very high scoring. Another team that I liked and you guys didn't like as much as I did, the Winnipeg Jets. I think they've been playing really well. Obviously, we got to talk about that Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, trading away Patrik Laine and Jack Roslovic. I'm still kind of on the fence with the deal. I really like Dubois. I've been pretty vocal on other pods on Strictly Rangers. I think I said it on Strictly Sports. Some of the things Dubois said, it's like, come on, dude, you're 22. You've never scored over 60 points. Why are you out there not trying and saying you need a bigger stage when you've never done anything to warrant you being on a bigger stage? I like him going to Winnipeg. He's a former number 3 overall pick. He's got the tools. He's got the skills, everything like that. Winnipeg's wing depth is weak now because Roslovic plays wing, Laine plays wing. If you go past the top 6, it's a problem. You don't really know who's filling out that bottom 6 now. Columbus, on the other hand, they're really happy right now. They're like, hey, we got rid of the problem, and now we're bringing in Laine, who's going to score 35 goals every year. So I think, honestly, in the short term, Columbus is pretty happy. In the long term, Winnipeg's probably thinking, well, we have a number 2 center for the next decade potentially, and we can just fill in at winger over time. What do you guys think about this deal for Winnipeg? Because they can already score a lot.
Yeah, I talked to you guys about it. I was kind of weary on the trade just because of the way Dubois handled his time remaining left in Columbus. I'm a big proponent of like how you carry yourself, through the good and bad. Look what happened. He was unhappy with the situation in Columbus, and rightfully so. I mean, if you want out, that's your decision. You're playing, but at the same time, you're playing this game for a lot of money. You're playing for a fan base that's relying on you, and a team has made the playoffs last 2 years. Bounced the President's Trophy, Tampa Bay Lightning in 4 games, just clean sweep them, and you pushed them to 5 games last year. You lose to the Stanley Cup champion. I mean, I don't know what he was unhappy with. I don't know if it was the Tortorella situation, but long story short, I think the last week he was there, not being a team guy. The clip of him going to the corner against Tampa, game 1 in that 2-game set, he skates to the corner and gives up. And that, to me, if I'm a GM on any other team looking at that and going, hey, what's he going to do when things start going bad here? Let's say Winnipeg goes sideways this year. What's he going to do? Complain, bitch, and moan. I want out. He's a good talent. He's young stud, but I just think he's just got to get his head in the right place. But like you said, Columbus, I think, wins this in the short run. Laine, it adds them a ton of scoring depth if he's on. If he can be a 200-foot player, which Tortorella, molds his guys into being that type of player, then Columbus is going to be scary because they can play that lockdown style of defense, add a goal scorer like that, and they're dangerous. But long-term, Winnipeg does win the deal. Like Jacob, young, got a lot of years left on his deal. They'll restructure him, probably re-sign him, and I think they're set for the long haul.
Yeah, and one of the things you said was sparked in my head, like you wanted a bigger stage. Well, Winnipeg's done exactly what Columbus has done for the last number of years in the playoffs. They're in and out. They don't go on extended runs. So is this really a bigger stage?
No. I mean, not really. I mean, the best thing I saw about the trade was, like, imagine wanting out of Columbus and they ship you to Winnipeg, and imagine wanting out of Winnipeg and they ship you to Columbus. They're two franchises who are on the same pathway. They always have a good team, it seems like, a competitive team, but can't really get over that hump. I mean, Columbus, they've only won 1 playoff series. It was against Lightning. Winnipeg, they made it to the conference finals in 18, lost in 5. Nothing really there. For Dubois, I know it, Steve, you touched on it, the play where he got sat, after coming out of the battle in the corner, not really looking interested in it. That's not the type of player he is, but it does worry me that he could put in that same effort. I want to see, obviously, more effort out of him when he dresses for Winnipeg. I like Winnipeg got a better all-around player, I think, but I do think that Columbus is going to win this deal if Laine can play defense. I was reading the other day that he was one of the worst defensive players in the year, almost worse than Kakko on the Rangers, Jacob. But he's almost one of the worst defensive players, and now he's going to go to Tortorella, who is a defensive-minded coach. Like, that's what scares me. I like Roslovic. I don't know much about him, but young player, winger, I think he helps. Laine's going to help Columbus's power play. I like both teams. I don't think a team lost, but if I got to pick a winner, I'm going to go with Columbus.
Yeah, no, I mean, you, either way, I mean, you can make arguments for either side. Right now, it's probably better for Columbus for sure. And the complete standings in the Canadian division, which is called the Scotia North Division, all these sponsored divisions now. So we're going to have sponsored everything. But Toronto's in number 1. They've played 8 games. They're 6-2. Then Montreal's played 6 games. They're 4-0-2. Winnipeg in 3rd place, 7 games played, 5-2. Edmonton 4th place, 8 games, 3-5. Then Vancouver, same thing. They're 3-5. Calgary's only played 5 games. They're 2-2-1. which Calgary, honestly, I'm starting to look at their roster, and they're kind of what I think my opinion's kind of switched between Calgary and Montreal. Calgary's now the team I'm looking at that it's like, okay, they're decent in every area. They don't have the overwhelming big factor on offense. I just don't see enough tools for Calgary. They're good, but not great. Maybe it's a short sample size. I get it. But I think they're going to have trouble scoring goals personally. And their defense, to me, when you're going up against the Torontos and the Winnipegs and the Edmontons, I think they're going to have trouble personally.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I was thinking about this last night, and I'll pose this question after we're done talking about Calgary. But it's so early in the season, really, to kind of think how is the team going to fare. I think it'll all play itself out. Look at all these teams that haven't played yet. Like Tampa's played 4 games. Carolina's played 3 games. Dallas has just started their season. So I think it'll come twofold once we get to I think the 20-game mark will really be able to kind of dissect who's going to be who, because right now, no training camp, no preseason. Everyone's kind of trying to figure out their games. I think the teams that you can look at right now that have played 8-9 games, Toronto, Vancouver's played 8. So you can kind of start seeing some trends there. Like Vancouver can't really score a whole lot. They can score, they can't play defense.
And they messed up at goaltender.
Yeah, I think they made the wrong move there. And then Calgary, I think they'll be just fine. I think Gaudreau, you have Tkachuk, Monahan, Lindholm, and then you have Markstrom behind in the net. So yeah. I think you have a solid goaltender there. It's just, can you figure it out and can you score enough, like you said, Jacob? And right now, I can't really pinpoint. I haven't watched a ton of the Flames yet this year, and I had the NHL package. I need to start watching some more teams. I've been watching too much Vegas, St. Louis, and Boston. It's been just 3-team selection there. So
You've been watching Vegas?
I think they'll be just fine, and I think they make the playoffs handily, if we're being honest.
The thing I took away from that is Steve's been watching Vegas hockey.
I have.
Yeah, what the hell is that, Steve?
I'd see. Here's the thing. I come to the conclusion I don't hate him as much now because the Lightning won the cup. I'll say that.
Oh God!
If Vegas won the cup, if Vegas won the cup before the Lightning did, I don't know if I could ever watch that team ever again, because they have not paid their dues, haven't paid their dues in the league. Still don't like them. I literally was watching the game last night. They're trailing St. Louis 4-2. I literally go to make something to eat, and I come back, it's 4-4 going to overtime. This team strikes so quick, and if they could figure out how to play defense when it matters, or score when it matters, I should say, that team will make the cup final again.
Oh yeah, no, they're deep in every area. I mean, that defense, not only can they defend well, but those guys can also score on the defensive side. I mean, Pietrangelo, Theodore, Alec Martinez, they put up offensive numbers. So it's not just a big defense that defends. They also score a lot, which is big. All right, let's move to that Honda West division. Like you just mentioned, Vegas, they're at top 5-1-1. St. Louis 4-2-1. Then Colorado 4-3. Then the LA Kings 3-2-2. They've actually been playing teams tight. I got to respect it. They've got a lot of young guys kind of trying to figure out what to do. It makes me look at my Rangers and be like, if the fucking LA Kings can win games, then the Rangers should too, but apparently not. And then you got the Anaheim Ducks. They've been playing pretty tight games, respectful games. They played the Avalanche really tight a few times. I really respected that a lot. And then you have the Wild. I actually like the Wild more than a lot of people. Kirill Kaprizov, I've seen him in all the game highlights. Legit. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, 100% legit. We were talking about them. They don't have that one goal scorer. No. Kaprizov is definitely that one goal scorer. And then they have, what's his name? The 6'6" forward, I think Greenway. I've seen him every time there's goals scored when he's on the ice and, all the players go to celebrate with each other. And he's got his arms around everyone and he just hovers over everyone. So he's going to be a big contributor too. And then the Sharks and the Coyotes are really struggling right now to do basically anything. I mean, the Coyotes have been shut out 2 or 3 times. So they're really struggling. We talked about that too. How are they going to score goals? They literally don't have anyone on that roster that you look at that can be like, oh yeah, they're going to put up 25 goals. So what are we looking at here with the Honda West division?
I mean, the teams we thought were going to be good are are good. I mean, Vegas, St. Louis, Colorado, we all had them in our top 3, no debate, and they're in the top 3 right now. LA, I'm very surprised they're in 4th right now, though. I think that's my surprise team. I don't expect that to last the entire year, but with a bunch of young guys in a shortened season, it wouldn't surprise me if they're able to sneak in. I mean, I think the most open spot in any of the divisions is the 4th seed in this division.
Yep.
Like I could see any of these teams, even Arizona, who's at the bottom right now, can't score for shit. I could see them sneaking into this 4th seed. Like, it is wide open as you can. I think LA being in 4th right now, though, definitely surprises me. It caught me off guard.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. I think we talked about it during our previews. This is a 3-horse race for the title. It's Vegas, St. Louis, Colorado. They're the powerhouse of this West Division, and like you said, Adam made a great point. This division's up for grabs from anyone. Whoever plays the best hockey, I think, the most consistent throughout the year. I mean, go figure. But the teams that have surprised me so far, LA and Anaheim. The 2 teams that people are like, oh, bottom of the league, they're going to be 20, 29th, 30th, 31. You're going to be in the lottery again. But it's so early. But the trends that you're seeing from these 2 teams, they're playing hard. LA, I took them against Colorado. No one gave them a chance. Got down 2-0 early. They grind. They're not going to give up on you. Anaheim, same way. They're going to fight you to the end. And a person that stands out right now is John Gibson. That guy is lights out. I pulled up his numbers here. He's started, 6 games. He's 3-1-2 with a 1.67 and a 9.48 so far this year.
I mean, you can see
a 1-0 shutout last night. 1-0 shutout last night against Arizona, but I think it's not going to last very long. This team can't score a ton of goals. Anaheim, their leading goal scorer right now is 3 from, let's see. It's not even loading. But anyway, they're winning 1-goal games. Gibson's carrying them right now, and I think that'll filter itself out in a 56-game season. But a team that I do like a lot is LA. I think that team could really surprise teams in the league and slip in that 4 seed, just because Jonathan Quick is still – he looks like the Jonathan Quick when they won those 2 out of 3 cups. And Drew Doughty's playing unreal. Anze Kopitar, Brown, how those guys are still in the league playing at a high level. It's
amazing.
Beyond me. Yeah. And they have Olimata, Athanasiou. They have some speed up front. So a team that's still fun to watch, and they play tight games, and they played Colorado down to the wire, and they're set. So I would be more than happy to see them, make a playoff run this year.
You bring up a great point about the LA Kings. I mean, I was watching one of their goals the other day, and it was Doughty to Kopitar to Brown. And I was sitting there like, this has been going on for a decade now. Like, this is crazy that they're still able to play together. They haven't been broken up. The head coach is gone. Jeff Carter too. Jeff Carter I've seen flying down there a few times this year. So really, really commendable for the Kings. Yeah.
And, real quick, I want to touch on Minnesota. This Kaprizov kid, lights out start to the season. It was him and Lafreniere for Calder at the beginning of the year. And, this kid, we forget he's a rookie, but he's 24, right? Like that surprised me. He's like 23, 24. I'm surprised by that. You talk about giving a kid time to develop his game.
Well, it was actually, I was watching the top 50 prospects on NHL Network. They were saying they were actually complaining because they've had Kaprizov in their top 5 prospects for like 3 years. And they're like, it's just because he never wanted to leave Russia. It was Kaprizov's choice.
Either way, though.
You're seeing him develop, though. I think his decision to stay back, and now you're kind of seeing the fruits of the labor of what's happened. I think right now, Minnesota and him, for his sake, they're both reaping the rewards on both sides because he's been lights out. For a guy he's 5'9", 5'10" at best, can fly around. He's a good shot. He's tough in the corners, and like Adam said, that he's been unreal to watch so far.
Yeah. And then San Jose better get better because my pick is not looking too hot right now. I have faith, but
did you guys see the Brett Burns goal the other day when he came in and backhand roofed it? That was pretty sick.
Yeah, that's those forward hands because he keeps switching back and forth. No one knows.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he goes like minus 48 defensively, and they're like, no, we like you taking point shots.
I just looked at the Sharks' schedule. They haven't played at home yet.
Because Santa Clara doesn't allow contact sports.
Oh,
that's right.
What are they going to do then? Are they going to play as the home team in other places?
So they're probably going to – I know they have a game against Arizona that they'll be designated home team. I don't know about fans yet, but –
It sucks.
I know that they have like a
dumb.
meeting. They have like a meeting or something where San Jose is about bringing contact sports back, but until then, they're probably just going to camp out in Arizona for home games.
I mean, I wonder what would convince them to bring contact sports back, considering like all the leagues have had deadly breakouts so far. I mean, it's been so dangerous, you know?
To me, it's like if you have no fans and it's a small hockey is a very tight knit group. Like if you have them tested and you're playing in your home arena, no fans, faculty's tested. I don't see why you can't play at home, but I mean, not that it really matters that in this season there's no fans really anywhere. I know Dallas, Columbus, I think has fans.
Dallas, Florida, and
Arizona,
yep.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a factor. Like you're basically playing with no fans, and it's like you're playing at a neutral site. But it's still the fact of the matter. Playing in your home arena is nice. You're comfortable with your surroundings, and it is nice to play at home. So I think that's kind of an unfair advantage for San Jose. But nonetheless, they still got to get better on the ice. Like Adam said, they better turn around quick, or they're not going to be where they want to be in the year. Same with my Rangers pick. I'll own up that real quick. 1-4-1 to start. Not too hot.
Oh, that's a good segue. Let's talk about this Rangers team, because I would love to shit on Jacob right now.
It's It's listen. I mean, they have the worst winning percentage in the league. There's no avoiding that. They're 1-4-1. Panarin and Zibanejad. I was talking to Steve before this. They look like ghosts. They're not doing anything. Lafreniere.
That's more New York players who are seeing ghosts. Thanks for coming.
I mean, the only bright spot on the team so far was Hedl, and now he's out 4 to 6 weeks. And so it's like, what are we doing here? Adam Fox, best offensive player on the Rangers, and he's a defenseman. Igor has let in some major softies. It's just, I mean, we talked about it before the year. You needed everyone to click. You needed everything to go right. Steve and I kind of took that optimistic road. You want to believe, you're like, oh, well, Panarin was a top 5 left winger and Zibanejad was almost a top 5 center and Lafreniere's a number 1 pick. And none of it's working. I think, honestly, it's getting to the point where David Quinn, he's got to put a fire into these guys. I mean, they're kind of going in these games. They're not structured. The main problem is they're not structurally sound. They're not doing the basic things to win hockey games. Their face-off percentage, I think, is at the bottom of the league right now. They're in like the 20 or 30% face-off win range. That's pitiful. So that they need to get – I don't know what they can really even do for that other than to make a trade, but they don't really have anyone to trade to get that guy. A lot of problems over there, but, Washington's been playing really well. We kind of shit on them a little bit for being a little older. They've even been winning games without their 4 big players because of COVID. That's actually been the most impressive part so far about their team. Boston, they struggled for a little bit, not scoring 5-on-5. Pasternak's actually coming back this weekend. So that's going to be huge for them. And Colby texted me while I was at work yesterday, and he's like, Pasta's coming back. And he's like, my fantasy team is saved.
I need the fantasy points, boy.
Yeah, really. And the Flyers, they're playing marginally well. I think they're still overrated, but, they're kind of – thank you. Yeah, they're definitely frauds.
I said that last year. They went on a run. They went 18 out of 21 games. They got points in. Wow. That was before the playoffs last year. And everyone's like, "Oh, this team's great." No, you're seeing their true colors. They can't play defense. They rely on scoring. But yeah, sorry for interrupting there.
Yeah, no, they're eventually not going to have goal scorers because I look around there. It's like Giroux's not who he used to be. Couturier is not a true number 1 center. Kevin Hayes is vastly overpaid, and he scores 40 points a year. Konechny's good, but do it again. I think eventually you're going to see some stuff come out there. And then Islanders are 3-3, Sabres 3-3, Devils playing a little up over expectations. I think eventually you're going to see stuff start to happen that we were kind of predicting. Right now, I think it's just early in the season, and then things are going to start to fall in place.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think the thing you're seeing right now is that the teams who have a few veterans are getting off to a slower start, trying to get their legs under them without a full training camp. And the teams with younger guys, like an LA team who had a bunch of guys. LA Anaheim, perfect example. How many guys do they have coming off World Juniors who had their legs under them and were ready to go? And now you're seeing the beneficial start. But I think, teams like Boston and Washington, they got off to good starts. But teams like, the Islanders, who have a few older guys on their team, they're still trying to find their legs. I think once you get deeper into the season, the younger guys will start to plateau, and the teams who have been there before, made runs, have been to the playoffs, they're going to start to take off a little bit. And I think that's when you're going to see that difference at around the 20 game mark, like Steven was saying.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm taking this beginning of the season with a grain of salt, because you look at the teams, like you said, Adam, like that have been there, that have been on runs, they've made the playoffs, guys that they know how the season's going to pan out. Early, you get points early, it's huge. Don't get me wrong, but it's a grind. Just because you start off the season, we've seen Buffalo do it year in and year out. Start out hot, and then plateau, and you fall off the cliff. And that's why I'll tell you this, Jacob, this team, the Rangers aren't out of the woods yet. They've lost 4 straight games by 1 goal. They have yet to play a complete game yet. They've had leads in every game. Now, can you get that fire, like you said, and play a full game? Yes. You have guys like Panarin, Savannah Jad, Kreider. Plenty of guys that can form that team. Like, hey, we've been here before. Let's start to play this style of hockey. And it goes for every team in the league right now. It's who's going to find out how to play a complete game throughout this 56-game season, who's going to have legs by game 40, 45. And you're going to start to see teams like LA, I really do believe, that are going to start falling off, because that's a great point, Adam, that young guys that are willing to get out there and play, and they're eager to go and show what they have.
Trying to prove
it. Exactly. Yeah. Prove what you got. Like, do you belong? And teams that are more veteran styled, like Washington, the Islanders, they'll come into their own, and you'll start to see those teams really, figured out by the 20-25 game mark.
Yeah, and it's even happening with the Rangers. I mean, I keep shitting on them, but I mean, Keandre Miller has had a pretty impressive debut. The defenseman, I mean, I was hyping him up when we were doing all these pods. David Quinn said before the season, he's like, this guy with his stick is incredible. And my dad was saying on Strictly Rangers how important that is, for a guy to say that about a defenseman. When you really think about it, he's 6'5", his arms are super long, and then you add the stick to that. I mean, he's great with his stick. He scored his first goal last night. He's physical. He's fast. He's a great passer, which is really impressive. And you see him right out the gate trying to impress. So I really like Keandre Miller. I think he's going to have a good career. And to wrap up this pod, we got like 3 minutes left. We got the Jackets leading the Discover Central Division. They're 2-3. Dallas and Florida 3-0. Tampa 3-1. Nashville 3-3. Chicago 2-3. Detroit 2-4-1. And Carolina's only played 3 games. They're 2-1. This division's really, like, at this point, it's not that interesting. I just got to be honest. Like, it's just later in the year it will be. But Dallas and Florida just started playing. Carolina's barely played. Detroit and Chicago aren't that good. Nashville's not that good. I think things are just going to kind of flesh out. And, it's pretty predictable, this division.
Yeah, 100%. It's, like I said, half the teams haven't even played yet. Detroit, Chicago playing, decent enough hockey right now. Young. They have some fire, but no one's even played yet. Like I said, the Lightning have played 4 games. Carolina's played 3. Dallas just started, so it'll fizzle itself out, like we said, and we can beat the horse to death. But I think we know who the top 4 teams are going to be come postseason. So that's how I see it right now.
My concern right now is they're missing, Dallas, Tampa Bay, Carolina, teams we expect to be in the playoffs out of this division. They're going to have so many games on the back end of their schedule. Is that going to hurt them? Like, you see Dallas right now, they have a bunch. They came out of the gates flying, beat Nashville 7-0. Their power play is unreal. It's because they got more time to practice. But is that going to affect them later in the year when they've had to play, 3 games in 3 games, 5 nights, and all of a sudden you're burned out by the playoffs because you've been playing so much? I think that's something, even though this division's boring, I think that's a storyline you have to look out for.
I think on that same token, I think the NHL is, with all these postponements, I do believe now, with the Olympics probably not happening now in the summer, they don't have no window to finish the season. They're going to push the playoffs back a couple of weeks, because how could you have – because the playoffs are supposed to start May 11th. The Lightning's last game is May 10th. So how are you going to have a team play one night and play 2 days later? So I think the NHL is going to look at it and push the playoffs back at least a week or two. So that's just food for thought for later, but still a lot of hockey left to be played.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's a good place to wrap up this pod. We went over all the divisions, how all the teams are doing. And we'll be back, in a week and a half, whenever these things start to get a little bit more interesting. We'll have Strictly Baseball tomorrow, Strictly Sports later in the week. We'll be going to the Super Bowl Radio Row next week in Tampa. So we'll have tons of coverage from that. And then Strictly Rangers, Strictly Yankees will come soon as well. Yankees made a few moves. You can follow us on Twitter at Strictly Sports P, on Facebook and Instagram at Strictly Sports Productions. For Steve Cash and Adam Kupferman, I'm Jacob Brown, and we will see you next time.